So, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. This is the 20th of October, and we have a topic about removing the painful wounds of abuse. And hope you figured it out. This is not actually about the wounds that you can have from physical abuse, though when you lock the abuse into your body, it starts to limit your body's recovery capacity, and it also limits your body's energy receiving, generating, forwarding, and energy maintaining capacity. So actually, it's really not good for the body. And the funny part is that, just to give a few examples, that in which many places can people lock abuse into their body. You can lock it into your chest, into your lungs, into your belly, into your vagina or penis. You can lock it into your small intestine, into your abdomen, into your guts, of course. So, and what it does is actually, just imagine that if it starts to limit your tissues, your organs, healthy, let's say, healthy way of working, then sooner or later you will have not just symptoms, and not just pain, but also different kind of illnesses in those tissues or organs. Okay, so first of all, the problem is that when someone is hurting you, like deliberately trying to make you feel worse, trying to put you down, it's abuse. It's the end result is that you will become less. Of course, like last time we covered it, that you will never become less because of what they do, but because as a result of what they have done, you make decisions to avoid such situation in the next time, in the future, and you will make yourself less. So actually, if you really look into it, you are the one who has the power, not them, because their main problem is that they recognize or they are afraid of that you have power, and they want to limit your power, limit your capacities, limit your skills. Therefore, out of fear, out of anger, out of jealousy or whatever, they start to limit you by abusing you. It can be emotional abuse, of course, physical or sexual abuse. It can be mental abuse. It can be gaslighting, which is a nice combination of all. It can be financial abuse, spiritual abuse, and so on, or religious, of course. But keep it in mind, you are the one who sort of like decide that how you will cut back your capacities, how you will limit yourself in order to never get abused again. So just recognize it. Whenever it happened to you, whatever you decided, anywhere you made yourself or turned into being a victim, you are not their victim. You are your own victim because you decided, you bought into the lie that they have power. But they did the whole thing because they thought they have no power and you have the power, and they wanted to stop you from having and applying your power. And of course, if you've been, let's say, hurt by the abuse, and you made any decision as a result of the abuse, then you started to limit yourself. And how do we lock it into the body? So we lock it with the decision, with the way of making it significant. Like whatever happened to me is significant, and it's terrible what happened to me. And of course, we put lots of emotions next to it, because with emotions, we can connect to this reality and we can prove to this reality that what happened to us was real and true and abusive. So with this, you lock it into your body. And from that moment, it starts to limit your bodies, your tissues, like receiving, maintaining, energy forwarding, and generating capacities. Okay, what do you do now? So what you can do is to get rid of the abuse from the body. Because if you don't get rid of abuse from the body, like the implant of the abuse, the thing, it's like, you know, like it's a hook. For example, if you have a fishing rod and you catch a fish and the fish swallow that hook deeply, this is like a hook in your body, in your energetic reality that keeps you, you know, struggling. It's painful, and from time to time, when you get into a similar situation, into a similar energy, into a similar case, it starts to hurt again. It starts to force you to react the same way, because once in the past you made it significant in order to remember and in order to avoid the same thing to happen to you next time. And when the same situation shows up, it will trigger you again to take some action. And of course, not conscious action, but the triggered action, which doesn't really help. And if you want to get back to your consciousness, if you would like to get rid of uh, abuse, of course, all the points of view, all the judgments, all the lies, everything you bought into regarding or in connection with the abuse. And many like the happen. So anything it brings up for you, anything you decided about abuse, anything you made vital, valuable, real, and significant, will you be so kind and destroy and uncreate, eliminate, and eradicate for all eternity? And if any of you has any symptoms now, like any of you been through, let's say, an abusive relationship, like with a narcissistic person, or you've been to, you know, abusive workplace, your boss, your colleagues, or your parents, or your father-in-law or mother-in-law, anyone around you, any of your friends who've been abusive to you, and anything you made vital, valuable, and real. Like oftentimes we stay in an abusive relationship, not just for weeks, but for years, even for decades, because you don't really recognize, and you know, over time you start to buy into it that you don't have power to change the situation, you don't have power to get out of the situation, and you have no choice at all, and hoping that the situation or the person will change. Of course it doesn't change, because they want to keep the control, the power with them. So therefore, they keep abusing you all the time with high intensity or with low intensity, but they keep doing it all the time. Okay. So we received like hundreds of questions, which is really great. And I will try to respond to them in batches, in groups. And one of the questions was, after such an abusive relationship, how to get back to life. And not just how to get back to life, but how to, if you've been through a relationship, like a romantic relationship that was abusive, it leaves marks on you, like the scars, the wounds. And the problem with that is you start to somehow act many ways as an abusive person. Because oftentimes the victims also become abusive in order to protect themselves, in order to survive, in order to not get into it ever again. And the thing is, these implants are really helpful to keep you in victim mode, in survival mode. So therefore, one of the things, if you would like to get back to normal life, and normal means being empowered, feeling that you are, you are fine, you have the capacity to recognize such people and such situations, you have the power to change the situation, you have the power to say no, to get out of the situation. So in order to get into this, you need to remove all these implants. And also, one of the decisions is, in order to protect yourself, is to shut down your body's receiving capacity. Even if it wasn't a sexual abuse or physical abuse, like, it hurts. Either physically or emotionally, but it hurts. And that, let's say, that pain, what you sense as pain, let's say rather intensity, that is caused by the implant of abuse. So, and you need to really remove these implants because it keeps you getting triggered, and it also keeps you in that reactive state or survival state. So you don't have much peace, and also your body doesn't have much peace. And over time, you become powerless and ill as well, like physically ill. So anything you made vital, valuable, and real about abuse and all the symptoms will destroy, uncreate, eliminate, and eradicate. And the other thing that with your choices, also, you keep making choices that will pull you to such abusive relationships again. Okay, so we have a question. Wait. Yes. Okay, so the question is it possible to remove the implants? Yes. So, yeah, so we have this class, the breaking out of the prison of abuse. And it's 3 days, and we are focusing on that to work with the bodies and removing all abuses. Like we have a special body process or a way of working with the body that can be used for each different type of abuse. Like you can use it differently for sexual abuse, differently for physical abuse, uniquely for emotional or mental abuse or financial abuse and so on. Also, we have another one that is especially for romantic relationships, like that kind of abuse that happens in a, let's say, in a toxic relationship. We call it romantic because it's not a friendship, but it's toxic anyway. And if you live with someone, like you stay together with someone for many years or even decades, that is toxic. It's yeah, it may require a little bit different treatment and clearings. Also, we have a unique body process to reactivate the body's receiving capacity. And also there is another one which is about to get out of that state of being a victim. Okay. So we have all of this. And so you can run these body processes on yourself, or you can run it on other people, or people can run it on you. Equally amazing. And the amazing part is that as well, together with all the lectures at the class, that like one thing is that we cover all the different kind of types of abuse. Okay. So all the different types of abuse, and that helps people to recognize it. And the other thing is that you need to remove it from the body, so therefore you will not fall back into that previous state, and also it will not affect your choices any longer. Okay. Because these are the two problems, like not recognizing what is abuse. Because oftentimes, like, let's say you have a definition, what is a friendship? In a friendship, you know, you spend a lot of time with that person, you agree on most of the things. And also there is that part you are willing to receive your friend as they are. And this is the part that abusive people sort of like abuse, that they are being nasty and they say like, you know, this is my style. You have to receive it, accept my style. This is just fun. This is a joke. But of course, it's painful because it wasn't really a joke. It was about disempowering you. So once you know all these sort of like tricks and different forms of abuse, you start to recognize the situation and the people. So you will not see them as friends or as partners or as whoever they want to make you think who they are to you, but you will recognize that it doesn't matter if that is your partner, if that is your father or mother or auntie or grandma or father-in-law or whoever, but you will recognize that these are people who are actually abusive with you. And so therefore, if you put the person into the right place in your reality, then you start to act, you start to change the situation with them. Like you will not willing to let them keep doing it any longer. And the other part is to clear the abuse from the body and the being, like all these belief systems, all the things that you promised to yourself, how you will act, how you will treat such situation, or what you will do with yourself, or and so on. Because when you remove the implant of abuse from the body, then you start to become free of these reactions that the triggers are forcing you to get into. It's like one of the biggest problem is that, like one of the things is either you become totally frozen, and it can show up in many ways. Like a lot of people cannot, like their breathing is like not just slows down, but like they start to suffocate in such situation. So breathing and lungs can be really, really traumatized. And the other part is for a lot of people, it's like a lot of pain in their abdomen, in their guts, because it was locked there. Also, there's a lot of people who have neck pain or shoulder pain or pain in their, not just in the chest, but also in their hip. A lot of people have terrible headaches, or many people has such things as lot like extremely itchy skin or eczema. So it can really affect the body. And when we start to run these body processes, it starts to clear out from the body, and these parts of the body starts to recover quickly. And many of these symptoms starts to just go away. Like how many people have sort of like problem with eating food and they are allergic to such foods, they have allergic reaction even for milk or gluten, that's because a lot of abuse is locked into the guts. And when your body, when your digestive system is sort of like hurt for many, many years because that abuse is locked in there, then it will, really disturb your digestion. So imagine that if you start to remove it, start to clear it and get rid of these implants from the body, it's not just helping the body to become more relaxed and not reacting like physically into these situations, like not getting into that state where not just your mind, but your body feels as well frozen, like you can't move, or you feel like suffocating, like you feel like you cannot breathe at all, because it's so traumatizing, the situation. And for a lot of people, their heartbeat goes up. They feel like they got, some issues with their heart, or their blood pressure goes up extremely, or they become like, having this rage, like they are extremely angry, and not just in their mind, but also in their body. Like they feel that extreme amount of anger that turned on in their body, even from the smallest situation. So either it makes you totally frozen or it makes you explode. And that's when these implants of abuse are sort of like activated again because of the situation. And as you remove it, then all the illnesses that they caused over time, they start to get rid of. Like you clear these illnesses because the body starts to like recover and complete the recovery process. Because these kind of stressful moments in the body will not show up anymore. So the body can finally recover and get healthy. And yeah, so the question is, what is the difference between the abuse hold process and this abuse processes? One of the differences is that that how you give the abuse hold and how you give this one, because the abuse hold has its own way how it is done, and this is one of the thing. And I think that's one of the thing. The other thing is that I think, like Gary Douglas says, that the abuse hold process can only be taught by him and his bloodline. So his daughter and his grandson. And these are the differences. And also the other difference is that like with this one, I mean, during the class, we also work with all the limitations, all the points of view. Like we go through all the different forms of abuse, so to make sure that people recognize what is abuse. And we also work on the body's receiving capacity to reactivate it or make it awaken again. Because that's another big problem, that people shut down their receiving with their body. And imagine that if you want to create anything in life, but you cannot receive, and you feel like frozen or extremely anxious, then, you really need your body's receiving capacity to turn your life into a much fuller, much greater life. Actually, your body is one of an amazing tool for creation. I mean, we covered this in your acoustic body class, where we were working with the body, because the body is like a magic wand for you, and you are the magician, but your body is the magic wand. Like you don't need another magic wand because the whole body is that. So if you sort of like see it as you have like some hardship with creating your life, you have hardship with connecting with energies, you have a hardship with connecting to your creative capacities. And it's, yeah, unfortunately, if we look around, like this is our generation, the previous generations that were extremely traumatized and abused, even by parents, even by the peers, like people around you the same age. So that makes it really hard to find a space or friends or partners that are not abusive to a certain level. Because it like these abusing techniques was sort of like educated into people's reality for many, many generations. And you know, if you would like to see a different future, start with yourself and remove it from yourself. So you will start to recognize that who are the people that are abusive around you, or what are those situations that are sort of like directed at you and want to take away your power. Like, what are those actions or situations that have a purpose to disempower you? For a lot of people, you are not, let's say, having a relationship with you is not safe because if you are powerful, then you will intimidate them. And actually, then they cannot control you. And of course, they wish to control you at all costs. It's not a big deal if it costs your power, because then it will make you to be controlled easier. So everything it brings up, you destroy, none, create, eliminate, and eradicate for all eternity beyond time, space, and all dimensions. Okay. Any other question? I also bring up some questions. Yeah, so one of the questions was how to reverse or undo the effects of abuse. So this is one. You need to remove, like first, you need to recognize and then you need to remove the implants of abuse from the body and the being. The same response we have to that question, like how can I abuse myself much less? Because that's really connected to punishment. Like I don't want to punish, like, yeah, I don't want them to punish me for what have I done. I rather punish myself so they will not punish me. And yeah, we had that how to return to who I am after years of continuous abuse. Even you get to a point that you didn't have a desire to meet someone new for many years. You know, that is the thing when you lose interest, you lose faith. Actually, you lose access to your desire. You know what I mean. And this is a serious thing because from childhood, from early childhood, this was part of education. Even parents fall into this trap. They started to tell to their kids if the kids wanted to have something, they started to educate their kids in a way, telling them that no, you cannot have it. No, it's stupidity. No, it's useless. Focus on your studies, focus on sport, focus on the duties we give you. Whatever you want is not necessary. Only one thing is necessary, what we want from you. You know, and this is really destructive because kids, and then later as they become adults, get totally separated from their own desire. And you know, Imagine that if you have no desire to do anything, like you are not interested to change your life, you are not interested to have a relationship, you are not interested to improve your financial reality, you are not interested to be joyful, to travel, to have fun, because you were so strongly sort of like separated from yourself, from your desire, because through your desire you can connect to all the things that are fun. And for many years, for decades, you were made wrong for the things that was fun to you. So everywhere you became a cold, frozen person that has no idea what is fun and being sour, like unhappy for years or decades. This is because of abuse. And once you start to get rid of abuse from the body and the being, you start to have access to your desire again. Like I hear it like in access consciousness, so many people, and in my daily practice as well, so many people keep telling me that they have no idea what they really want in life. They have no idea because they just don't have the desire. They don't have the interest to anything. Like having a better car or having more money or going down the beach or have an amazing travel, nothing means anything to them. Nothing has value. Like imagine that how much you should have shut down your receiving capacity to not sense value of anything. So actually removing these implants of abuse and reactivating your body's receiving capacity will really help to start to recognize value again. And then you start to have back your desire. Like, in other words, through desire, you reconnect to life. You reconnect to your awareness. You reconnect to consciousness. You reconnect to your body. Like, and again, how much is your body is a partner in generating a different life? Because even just in your sexualness, of course, your body is your partner. It has to be. If you are separate from your body, then sex will not go very well. Your orgasms will not go very well. Like how many people have, or women have no orgasm because they lose their access to their desire. And that's really needed for many parts, many organs in the body. So anywhere you shut down your desire, you shut down your capacity of receiving, you shut down your capacity of recognizing value. What, in other words, you cannot recognize what creates greater for you. Like when you use the light and heavy tool, it means nothing to you because nothing is light, nothing is heavy, and nothing changes. Like it's all because of you shut down your desire, like you shut down your capacity of receiving. So anything you made vital, valuable, and real to shut down your capacity of receiving, will you now destroy and uncreate, eliminate, and eradicate for eternity? Right and wrong, good and bad, put and pop, all 100 shorts, boys, poets, spaces, creations, and beyond. And when you ask the question, like, what does it create if I choose this? And you sense nothing. So you cannot see the value in anything because why would I add something to my life if it generates nothing? It generates nothing. No, it generates something, but you cannot sense what it generates because you shut down your body. And what else is possible here? Yeah. I think we also covered many of the other questions, like how can you permanently clear these, like the results of abuse, and find a nurturing partner who will treat me well and be nice to me. Like as long as you are under the effect of abuse, like what it does, it disempowers you. And when you are disempowered, you don't have access to your power, to your own creativity, to your awareness, to your power. And when you don't have access to it, you don't even believe that you can make any change in your life, that you could achieve having a new partner. And even when you have a partner, then most of the time you pull the partner in based on that vibration of abuse or abusive implants in your body, in your reality. So that will be again an abusive partner. And you have these kind of experiences like that are reinforcing the main problem again and again, saying that like I keep choosing such partners, therefore this is not meant to be for me. Like I'm not meant to be happy in my life. And everything that brings up will destroy and uncreate, eliminate and eradicate for eternity. Right and wrong, good and bad, POD and POC, all 100 shorts, boys, poets, bases, creations, and beyond. So one of the big thing is also to reconnect with your desire. And that would be an amazing and ultimate choice for everyone, because that also means that you reconnect to your yeah to your capacity of receiving and recognizing what creates greater for you. It's like you have that burning fire within you that makes you go through all walls and barriers. And I think we covered that question as well, like what's required to not choose the same pattern again, which is, yeah, get rid of abuse, the implants, and recognize what is abusive and who is abusive around you. Also, there was a question, I think somehow we responded to it. Why do we choose abuse? Like, from the very beginning in your life, you get into this body and you get into a family where your parents are just just they are just who they are. And they also want to control you from the very beginning. Because, as a child, you take away their freedom, their power, and so on. I mean, this is their point of view. For most parents, it's a point of view that with a kid, it's the end of their life, end of their joy, and so on. So therefore, they try to stop you with all powers that they have. And imagine that if you get abused, even just lightly, from the very beginning of your life, you get used to it. Or imagine that if your parents are abusive with each other, like your father is abusive with your mother, and your mother always shows up as a victim, your father shows up as an aggressor. If you're a woman, you will choose a man who is like your father. So at the beginning, it sounds fun, but then your partner starts to show up as an aggressor, just as it was with your mother and the father. And you start to have the same thing in your life over and over again. But if you start to remove all these energies, all these implants, because the implant itself like vibrates the energy of abuse continuously in your life, which is not much fun. And when you remove it, it will not force you any longer to keep choosing that again and again. Like you will have a choice, and it won't be sort of like that. Yeah, so when you find something or someone like that is just as abusive that your parents or those people who were abusing you, then somehow, odd enough, they can represent the energy that was implanted into you. So it will help you to get back into that energy, into that situation again and again and again. So remove it. So this is why we keep choosing the same shit over and over again, because you didn't remove it yet. And energetically, these abusive people are matching your energy. Like, even you can leave your workplace if it's full of abusive people. And when you go to the next workplace, you choose your next workplace based on the same kind of energy. Like your boss or your colleagues will be abusive to you at the same level, with the same way. So it's, running away and not resolving it is not a solution. Like you may think you resolved it because you removed the abusive person from your environment by you leaving them. But yeah, but you will fall into the trap again and again and again. Again, just remove all forms of abuse from your life. And also, what else is there? There's a question. Is meditation helpful? Like regression therapy. Um, you know, anything can be done in many ways. Like if you only say meditation, like meditation just by itself, it helps you to recognize what happened. But as far as I know, it doesn't really include working with the body. So meditation and like recognizing something is already great, but it doesn't change the situation because it doesn't clear the implants of abuse from the body. So it really requires a work with the body, like intentional work to remove these implants that sort of like keep re-inviting such situations and people into your life. And regression therapy is often like, I'm not sure if I have enough information about regression therapy, but as much as I know, it's about to make you relive or go through again the situation, like again and again and again. And, without clearing it, it's just wasting time. This is what I would say. Without clearing it from the physical body. But maybe some of you had success with regression therapy, so anything can work. Like anything can happen, and the opposite as well. Okay. What here? Anyone has a question? We are free to have that question. Here is a question like, how do you know if you still have blockages from abuse after you cleanse it with this process? Again, what I received from people, one thing is that they start to recognize the least intense version of abuse as well, and they recognize the people as well who are abusive. Like abuse doesn't have to become so strong and intense for you to recognize it. And simply what people report after the class, that one thing, they recognize it, and also they start to have that sensation of they are free, so they don't have to walk back into that situation again. So they are also free in their actions. Like they don't have to choose abusive situation or abusive people around them. They don't feel the obligation to do it. And also, many times people become like abusive with themselves. And when you cleanse it, you start to have the idea that you can have fun and you can have joy. You sort of like you start to look for the joy and happiness in your life. And also, your receiving improves. So therefore, you start to receive, you're not just looking for, but you also start to receive more fun, joy, and excitement in your life. Mm. Uh, how can you avoid abusing other family members? This was also a question. If you simply remove the implants of abuse, you remove this kind of thing of being a victim all the time, because victims are really controlling other people. Like they always pull up that card, the victim card, that makes them entitled to do anything with others because they've been a victim of abuse. So people have to let them do anything what they want to do. It's a great way of control, but well, again, how can we avoid abusing other family members, like your children? It's rather about when you cleared it from yourself, you start to recognize it that you have a choice. Because one of the core belief of abusers is that they are nothing and the people around them are something. I mean, this is let's say, a deeply seated belief, but on the surface, they sort of like try to prove that they are great, they are amazing, they are unique, they are valuable. So in reality, they don't believe that they are valuable. Like deep down, they don't believe it. They always question it, how much valuable they are. And by removing all these implants and things, they start to become free and start to have more ease, more joy. And you also start to, like, if you are the one who is afraid of abusing your kids, and as well, maybe your parents were abusing you in many ways, um, when you get rid of all the limitations about your body's receiving capacity, again, it will let you become more present in your relationship, like more present with what people say, and is it in line with what they mean or what they do. And you start to recognize the situation and abusive people. So you also recognize when someone is not abusive, when someone is just your child and you were the one who is abusive. So you can also step out, like it makes it much easier to step out of such situations. Question that should be done for the implants of abuse. It's, it's always a question how many implants you have. Oftentimes, like when you had any implants of abuse, it doesn't mean that the next one will be logged into a different part of the body, because oftentimes you keep choosing the same kind of abusive people and same kind of abusive situations. So it just most of the time it strengthens one implant, like making it stronger or more intense. But of course, it can be situations when you lock in different versions of abuse into different parts of your body. Okay. And you can also look into your family, into your parents' or grandparents' life, because many of them were born after or during the Second World War. or after that, during any kind of revolution or whatever went through in those countries or in our countries as well. And so a lot of people are traumatized. And what would it take for this to be removed from their body, from their belief, from their actions, from their way of thinking, to get rid of all of that and start to see yourself as the source of your future and the source of creating something much greater? And you can use these tools and processes that you can learn at the class to sort of like contribute to other people's changes, to contribute to their life, to let them choose something greater. So you can use it as a treatment as well with all the clearings and all the body processes, not just on yourself, but on your clients as well. So if you are dealing with like being a healer, as a therapeutic or whatever you call it, then you can really use it well. It will bring a huge change into your and your client's life. Okay, so thank you so much for today. We covered so many things, and time, with good topics, time flies by very quickly. And just as a reminder, we are going to have the abuse class in Sibiu in November. Like we have like 4 weeks, sort of like 4 weeks until then, the 21st to the 23rd of November in the city of Sibiu in Romania. And you can ask for the details like Silvana and Marius. And also we are going to have the abuse class, like breaking out of the prison of abuse class the following week in Czech Republic in Liberec. So that's the 28th, 29th, and 30th of November next month. It's like 4 or 5 weeks from now on, 5. And also we are going to have the abuse class in the Balkan in 2026, the 15th of March. So if you would like to make a down payment or start to collect money for that, here is the time, because you still have a few months, but plan ahead if you really wish to attend the class, because it's going to be a big bang. They're going to have, yeah, first of all, where have you decided that if a class is about abuse, then you have to keep crying all 3 days? Because I rarely remember that people were crying during the abuse class, because like releasing abuse doesn't mean you have to sort of like go through the pain again, but it's about releasing the painful wounds of abuse, the painful implants. You release it, therefore you don't have to go back to the pain again. Everywhere you wouldn't choose it because you are afraid of the pain again, will you destroy, uncreate, eliminate, and eradicate for all eternity? Cool. And of course, we will see each other in the next few weeks again. Maybe we'll come back with a different topic. But keep it in mind, we are having a class in the Czech Republic and also in Romania, in Sibiu, in 4 or 5 weeks' time. So it's going to be fun, and please come and join us. And yeah, let's get rid of abuse from all area of life and all parts of the bodies. And thank you again for all the amazing translators and hosts we have that made it possible and available for such intro to happen. So thank you for all of you. Thank you for Susanna, for Angela, for Silvana, for Margareta and Ellen. Thank you for all of you, and see you very soon. And of course, we will send out the recordings, so you will get the video of all translated languages. Thank you, and have so much fun. And what
Olá,
can...
Coela. Bye.
Voila! Thank you, mulțumesc! Bye-bye!